The SCP Foundation is a group of people who deal with objects that don't obey the laws of physics and the world in general. Examples include a ball that, when dropped, will bounce higher and higher, gaining tremendous speed in the process. The SCP Foundation aims to prevent such objects from destroying the world. SCP in this case is an abbreviation for Secure, Contain, Protect. The Foundation's goal is to secure and contain anomalous objects, and protect humanity from them. Anomalous objects in Foundation's possession are given a code, SCP followed by some number. However, such objects are normally referred to by the number itself. For example, SCP-123 is just known as 123. There are more than 5,000 anomalous objects belonging to the Foundation. Thus, it is important to categorize them so that it will be easier for newcomers to expect what they are about to read. SCPs are classified into 4 main classes: Safe, Euclid, Keter, and Thaumiel, but there are loads more less common ones like Apollyon 53, BFF, Safe Protest, Euclid Impetus, and many others. For now, we'll just look at the 4 main categories using the box metaphor. That is, what happens if you put it in a box? If you put the object in a box and it doesn't escape easily or is extremely easy to put back, then the object is probably safe. However, the fact that an object is classified safe doesn't mean it is actually harmless. An object that doesn't move but is extremely dangerous may be considered safe. Safe SCPs include a key that can open any lock, and a glob of living gelatinous mass that induces joy in everyone it encounters. If you put the object in a box and you don't know what's going to happen, then the object is probably Euclid. Most of the SCPs contained are Euclid, and may or may not be animate. These SCPs always require moderate effort to contain, and may break out of containment if not monitored. Euclid SCPs include a statue that will attack if you're not looking at it, or a toaster that must always be addressed in first person. If you put the object in a box, and it escapes effortlessly, and leaves a trail of corpses in its wake, and in general causes everyone to have a bad day, the object is probably Keter. There are a few ways to pronounce the word, but for the purposes of this video, I'll pronounce it as Keter. Keter class objects are extremely dangerous in the sense that they escape extremely easily and are mostly especially dangerous. Of course, this does not apply to all Keter SCPs, and even if an SCP is harmless, as long as it is extremely difficult to keep in one spot, it is classified as Keter. Keter SCPs include a mask that will possess anyone who wears it, a disease that causes one to bleed everywhere, and a cake that infinitely multiplies. Finally, there are Thaumiel SCPs. If the object is the box, then it is probably Thaumiel. Thaumiel SCPs are useful for containing other SCPs, normally Keter ones, and are extremely few and far between. The SCP Foundation keeps the locations of such SCPs classified, as they are of much use to the Foundation. Thaumiel SCPs include an interstellar being that points at threats towards Earth. All SCPs have their own article, which contains a few key details. First, their code number. Second, their object class, as explained before. Third, special containment procedures. These are written first, even before an SCP is described, to give readers a sense of how important it is to keep these SCPs contained. Fourth, the description of the SCP. And finally, addendums. Addendums are essentially updates on an SCP, which detail events that have occurred involving the SCP. This allows us to construct a timeline of events involving said SCP. Hopefully, if I ever have future SCP videos, I'll add a timeline at the bottom of the screen to show what's happening. The SCP Foundation is actually fictional, if you didn't already know by now, and was created in 2008 by what is now known as the SCP Wiki. The Wiki is basically a group of authors from around the world who write entries about fictional characters and objects that they've come up with. As such, there is no real consensus as to what the SCP universe's timeline should be. There is also no real story, and it's not clear how the SCP Foundation and other groups of interest act. These are a few things, however, that are generally agreed on by those who contribute to the SCP website. Firstly, the SCP Foundation is generally cold. They don't let anything stop them from containing SCPs, and will kill if it means an SCP being contained. This doesn't mean that they are cruel though. They will generally try not to kill if given the choice, and will only do so in situations in which they are forced to. The second is the existence of groups of interests, or GOIs. These are other agencies, parties, or groups of people that either work together or against the Foundation. A few notable examples include the Global Occult Coalition, the Serpent's Hand, the Church of the Broken God, and the Sarkic cults. Finally, it is also generally agreed upon that the SCP Foundation contains a few interesting characters. Researchers like Dr. Bright, Dr. Clef, and the O5 Council and Mobile Task Forces make events in the SCP universe much more exciting. However, there really isn't a canon within the SCP universe. People just follow what others have written and use those to write their own articles. If you ever feel like adding on to the wonderful collection of weird and interesting things the SCP Foundation currently possesses, it's not wrong to say, include an entirely new group of interests. And that's about it. Besides tales, backstories, redactions, cross-testings, exploration logs, D-class, termination attempts, contests, fan arts, and the numerous SCPs just waiting to be covered, that's just about everything there is to know about the weird and wonderful SCP universe. If you feel interested, there will be links in the description. That's all for now. I hope to see you next time.